Hi, my name is Melissa Gragg, and I'm a valuation mediator and financial mediator. Valuation mediation was a term that we created. Basically, most of the time in a divorce, the attorneys cannot recommend you settle for numbers, which means they can't recommend you settle for anything complex like a business valuation or the value of a pension or a retirement account after tax. All of those things they need an expert to talk about. And so they hire a financial expert, but typically they don't always know what's going on. So the financials expert spends a lot of time communicating between the attorney and the clients and maybe the other expert, because a lot of times each side hires an expert and then we fight about the value. The reality is, in valuation mediation, you could hire one valuator and they could give you both a valuation number. And it's a process so that you work together. There's transparency and disclosure of financial documents. And I would say you are working together to provide all the clarity in the financial documents so that one party that may or have not been involved in the business understands everything about the business. Now, the role of the financial mediator or the person who is doing the valuation mediation really is to uncover all the issues. So when we look at the value, we might say, I know that there's some ups and downs in the cash flow, and you'd really want to say that this is going to be worth nothing. And somebody else might say it's worth millions. But what the valuator comes in and does is really comes with the valuation that's supported by the financial documents. And so as long as the financial documents are understandable, clear, and have been prepared in some rational form, usually a valuation can be done pretty expeditiously, well, quickly, if you will. The thing is, you have to give the documents up. You have to both be willing to provide those documents easily to each other so that both of you can look at them. And then a valuation mediation specialist comes in and takes a look at the valuation. Our mediation process is a little different. We're going to look at the valuation. We're then going to put it into a property statement, which is basically a list of all the things that you have and all the debts that you owe. And then we're going to move into your income and expenses. Is one person been working and the other staying at home, or do you have two working parents? Do you have kids? Do you have multiple homes? Do you have other types of financial responsibilities? All of those things are going to be discovered and discussed during the mediation process. And the mediation process should be working with somebody who gives you the financial clarity that you need on all the issues. And that's typically not an attorney because, again, they're focused on some of the legal issues. A legal issue and a financial issue has to do with maintenance or child support or alimony. Those types of things obviously have a legal issue and a financial issue, and we'll talk more about that. State resources that are listed on your state is going to be your best starting point. It's free. You can download different documents. Yes, it's going to be hard to understand everything, but get a grasp on what you need to do. What's the process? Sometimes the process is filing and then waiting 30 days. And then immediately after that 30 days, you have to provide this financial disclosure. What's the financial disclosure? We go back to that property statement. And then we go back to a statement of income and expenses. And those types of things are called different terms in different states. So you have to understand what state are you operating in and what are the documents that are going to be necessary. Transparency and willingness to discuss difficult topics are going to make your mediation more successful. Quite frankly, if you've done some things that are just a little suspicious, it's going to be much easier to discuss them with a financial professional. Allow them to ask questions so that everybody can discuss it. Allow your spouse to ask some questions and answer them in, maybe a more rational form instead of being, very triggered by the conversation. If everybody has more information, they can make the decisions that are right for them or the family and continue to move on. Part of mediation is that the mediator is really not determining how you do this. And so they're giving you all the options and they're giving you ideas that maybe you couldn't think of. But the reality is they are not necessarily telling you what you need to do or how you need to do it. Mediation is a way that you can be creative and you can be part of the process. If there's a way, for example, that you could get separated or keep the health insurance or keep the house or do some of these hybrid things, keep the business owned together. Those are things that the court may or may not allow. Even if you went through the court system, the judge may or may not be able to allow that. In some jurisdictions, if you go to court, they could say you have to pay alimony forever. In others, there's a calculator. In some places, the only way to settle a maintenance or alimony case is to have a discussion about it, right? Maybe the court is not going to give you a solution that's really best for you. Those are going to be the times where you need to have discussions with a mediator and work with a mediator that has the understanding about the issues that you're dealing with. But when it comes right down to it, you have to find your voice. What do you want? What are the things that you really desire? If you're in this beautiful, comfortable house, is there a way that you could have some of those same attributes in another house that's more affordable, that's in the same school district? Or, you know what? Things change. Maybe your kids need a change. Maybe if you're just more open to the possibilities, there could be some scenarios that could be a win-win for everyone. But in order for people to know what you want, you have to get really clear on what is important to you and be able to talk about that and enunciate that in a clear way in the mediation. Then you have a better chance of getting the things that you want or the situation that's going to make you feel most comfortable.